morning and thank you for connecting to the class. Yesterday we had a difficulty with the camera, so finally the problem is solved and everything is okay, so that's great. But yesterday I apologize for the little error. It was stressful and very worrying. We had a problem with the camera. I will show you exactly the issue. I don't know if you're familiar with technology, but this was the problem. Failed to connect to a Windows service, and it was a big problem with my webcam and Facebook Live. I have two cameras, one camera for Zoom and the second camera is necessary for Facebook Live. So we finally connected by Zoom, and thank you to everybody who joined yesterday with Zoom, and we had a very good class. And I recorded the class and put the class on the Facebook page later. So thank you very much, and I'm sorry if you were not able to connect yesterday. So hello today, Friday. It's the last Friday of the month, and it's the end of February almost. We have one more class tomorrow, but it's the end of the month almost. And now we have completed 5 weeks of the free classes. So we have done a lot of work. It has been very, very good. So well done to everybody, number one. And also welcome to the new people. Welcome to everybody who is attending this morning. We have some new people and we have some regular people. Hopefully we have no difficulty or interruption with technology, with the Wi-Fi, with the computer, with the laptop. So fingers crossed everything is okay. Also, we have a lot of people at home. We have 6 people at home and a baby and a dog. So it's possible we have some interruptions, but fingers crossed everything will be okay. The class maybe is difficult. I hope you can understand me, but the class is possibly difficult. We have a lot of people from different places, from Brazil, from Peru, Bolivia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Romania, Bulgaria, France, Italy, Germany. We've so many different places. So I hope you can understand me. It's important for me to keep in mind we have so many different people with different levels of English and with different mother tongues, with different original languages. So that's my intention, that everybody can learn a little from the important comments. So everything I have said more or less there. So it's a good opportunity for me during the restrictions, during the difficult year. Everybody is working at home, so it's a good opportunity to help during the pandemic. And for me, it's a very good opportunity to return to work, and fingers crossed we can continue a little. Okay. And this is more or less the same thing what I said. A lot of people have lost jobs. People are in difficult situations, so everybody's working from home. You have maybe family, friends. You have a lot of people at home. So I understand it's difficult, and also to learn English is difficult. It's a difficult job to learn English. It takes a long time. It's also very expensive. You have to pay a lot for the school and you have to pay a lot for the teacher. So I hope I can help with this project. Okay. Everything is free. It's a good opportunity for me. It's free, but at the end, if you want to support me, if you want to contribute something small, that would be fantastic. And today, because it's the end of the month, I will put some information on Facebook today to hopefully ask people to make a donation, because that would be a big help for me. To participate on Zoom, if you want to join the class and to participate with some speaking, that is a possibility. And the code here for the meeting is on the left. So that is the code for the meeting. If you want to join the class and practice some speaking later, it's possible to join the meeting. That's the details and the code. Okay. Every morning in the event section, I put the link for the meeting and the link for the Zoom connection if you want to participate in the class. Okay. So that is important. Again, yes, I'm sorry if it's impossible to understand me. I'm very sorry. I hope that you have patience, and I hope that the class will help a little, but it's possible you do not understand me, but hopefully everything will be okay. And the social media. So if you want to connect also on Instagram, we have the Instagram page, Twitter page and YouTube channel as well. So I put some pictures on Instagram and other content as well. But the majority of the content is the same. And that is the plan for the moment. Okay. So now I will share my screen and I will also introduce the agenda for today. So today we have an agenda very similar from the other days. So I'm going to show you the agenda at the bottom. First we have the introduction document, and every morning we use the same document to introduce the important technical expression. So here is the agenda. First is the introduction document. After the introduction document we will continue with the article. Yesterday we looked at the article about India and COVID and we completed 2 pages. So today we will complete the next pages from the article. I also have a review of a movie from the magazine The Rolling Stone, and the name of the movie is The Dig. I have never seen the movie, but it's a review of the movie, and that's a possibility for today as well, to analyze the vocabulary and to analyze the grammar from the article and the review. Okay. After we have phrasal verbs and idioms, so we can continue with a list of phrasal verbs and idioms, and speaking is possible as well to participate. And we have some exercises for grammar, the difference between used to, get used to and be used to. So that is the exercise for today if we have time, and I'm sure we will not have time for everything, but there's also a video of a series that was very popular in Ireland and England called Derry Girls, and I have a little video of this and a script if we have time. Okay. There are subtitles and captions available on Facebook. You can select the subtitles and the captions if you want, and the majority of the captions are correct, but there are some errors, but maybe it's a useful assistance and a useful aid if you want. Okay. So this document on the left is the introduction document, and every morning we show this document because for me it's the foundation of English and it's very important as a base. So if you are a beginner, this document is very important at the beginning, but also if you are proficient, it is still important because you need to remember, you need to refresh, and for me as a teacher it's important to remember and to constantly consider the structures and to consider the terms. Okay. So for me there are 3 categories you can see in yellow. Grammar is the 3rd category, tenses is the 2nd category, and the 1st category for me is the use of English. So when you learn English, in my opinion, this category is the most important category, because in general you are familiar with the grammar. The majority of people understand grammar and have a good foundation in grammar, but for me the use of English is maybe the most important area to really advance and to really understand local people and native speakers. Because for example, phrasal verbs, we have a category in English of phrasal verbs, and phrasal verbs are the verb and a preposition, but they have a second difficult significance. Okay, there's a phrasal verb is possible literal, but it's possible a second completely different significance, and we use phrasal verbs all the time with family, in the morning, with friends, in the afternoon, informal, formal, all the time we use phrasal verbs, and they are so important to sorry, I think I had a problem there with the Zoom, but it's possible to join if you want. But phrasal verbs are so important. So one example is to come across. So here you can see the phrasal verb come across. So the majority of people understand come, okay, and the preposition is across. So literal, come across the road, number 1. But the second significance is to find unexpectedly. So if you're looking in your room, you're searching, and you come across a magazine or you come across a book, the significance is you find unexpectedly the book or the magazine. So phrasal verbs, we have thousands and thousands of phrasal verbs. They're very quick, they're very short, and we use them all the time. So they are so important to understand native speakers, a big area. Okay, the next area is very important. Idioms. So we have a lot of idioms again in English. So they are typical for conversation. They're typical for entertaining, to make English a little more interesting, a little funnier. And one example is a senior moment. So it's a metaphor. Because the stereotype, if you are old, the stereotype is you lose your memory a little. You have difficulty with your memory. So if I have a senior moment, the significance is a joke or a metaphor that maybe I forget my phone, I forget my bag, so I have a senior moment. So this category are idioms, and again, we have thousands and thousands of idioms that we use all the time. So honestly, probably the most important point from today, from the class, the most important point are the two areas, phrasal verbs and idioms. I recommend you try to study, you try to prepare, and you try to analyze the phrasal verbs and idioms, because they are the secret to really understand English well. Okay? Accents. We have lots of different accents in English, and again, this is maybe the most difficult part to learn English. We have an accent in Ireland, an accent in England, an accent in Scotland, Wales, even in England you have Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester, London, you have Cork in Ireland, the United States. Very important for English to really understand. It's a big difficulty to understand English with the accents, okay? So this area is definitely the most important in my opinion. Conversation and pronunciation is important, so you need to practice conversation as much as possible with other people. It's important to practice conversation and pronunciation. We have a lot of irregular words in English for pronunciation, and during the class I try to help and I try to identify the pronunciation problems. And during the class for conversation, hopefully, depending on the numbers and possibly during the class, we can practice some conversation. I have seen we have connected with 2 or 3 people on Zoom, so probably during the class, if you wait, we can speak. Okay. The next area are tenses, or different times. Okay, so we have tenses or different times in English, and for me this is a very, very important English. So every language has different tenses. Okay, so if you speak Japanese, if you speak Bulgarian, you need to be familiar with the concept of the time. So is it the present? Is it the future? Is it the past? So you need to be very clear with the concept of time and the tense in English. So at the beginning of the class, I want to explain a few concepts in relation to the tenses. For example, we have the simple, which is the present simple, one action you do in the present and maybe regularly. We have the past simple, which is one action you did or completed in the past, but it's more difficult because we have a lot of irregular verbs in the past simple, and that's a big, big difficulty because we have a lot of irregular verbs in the past simple. We also have the future simple, and there are 2 possibilities for the future. I will go, I will eat, I will drink, number 1, or I am going to eat, I am going to drink, I am going to talk. So there's 2 possibilities for the future. The next idea is the continuous. So we have a time that you speak, you do the action in the present continuous, which is one moment continuously in the present. The same structure in the past, past continuous, a period that you do the activity continuously in the past, and the future continuous, a period of time that you will do the activity in a continuous time. Okay, and the construction is the subject. Remember, subject I, you, he, she, subject, verb to be, I am, and the ing, or the gerund of the verb. So I am eating, I am drinking, I was eating, I was drinking, I will be eating, I will be drinking. Okay, so they're the continuous and the simple. The next concept is the perfect. We have the present perfect and the past perfect, and the construction is the subject and the auxiliary verb have and the participle. So the present perfect is usually the period of time that started in the past, it's finished, but it's related and relevant to the present because it continues to be important. That's the present perfect. One example, I have eaten my breakfast. It started in the past, it's finished, but it's relevant and related to the present because now I am not hungry. Okay, so that's the concept of the present perfect. The concept of the past perfect is the period of time in the past, usually before an action in the past simple, another action, and the construction is had. I had eaten my breakfast before my friend contacted me. So the past perfect is usually the period in the past before another action in the past simple. That's the difference between the present perfect and the past perfect. We have the possibility in the future perfect, I will have eaten my dinner, but it's a little more advanced and a little more complicated, but it's important, okay? So they are the continuous, the simple, and the perfect. The next idea is the infinitive, and in English, the infinitive is the foundation or the base of the verb, and normally the infinitive in English is to eat, to go, to drink, to have, to talk, the infinitive, okay? In Spanish, para beber, para comer, para dormir. So the infinitive is the base or the foundation, and that concept is important because during the class I explain a lot and mention about the infinitive, okay? The next idea are conditionals. So in theory, in the book, you are probably familiar with the conditionals, but we have the zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, third conditional, and mixed conditional. In the book, it's a little heavy and it's a little complicated, but in reality, it's more flexible and it is dependent on if. Okay, so basically the conditional is dependent on if. For example, if it rains today, I will go to the city centre. If I have money, I will buy some chocolate. If I met my friend yesterday, I would have spoken. So there are different times connected to if. That's the concept of the conditional. In the book, it's a little heavy, and in the book, it's a little complicated. But in reality, in my opinion, it's a little more flexible and a little less strict. Okay? The active and the passive is important. A little complicated, a little advanced, but the concept of the active and the passive is important. I think in Spanish, in Portuguese, you have the same idea. For example, I drink the coffee. That's the active. Subject, verb, object. That's the ordinary sentence, the active. And the passive, you change the position. So the coffee is drunk by me. You need an extra verb to be, and you need the participle. So that's the idea of the active and the passive. You change the position and introduce a verb to be. That is a little complicated, a little advanced, but particularly for exams, if you want to prepare for an exam, if you want to improve and to be advanced, you should be very familiar with the active and the passive, and you should be able to identify the active and the passive. In reality, native speakers, in my experience, my friends, my family, the majority of people are not familiar with the concepts. The majority of native speakers are not familiar with the grammar. They're not familiar with a phrasal verb. They're not familiar with an idiom. It's just natural. It's very natural, obviously, for native speakers. So it's important for you to identify the structures at the beginning and to understand the concept, okay? Because for native speakers, we sometimes are not aware. We are not conscious of the structure. It's just natural, okay? So that's important to remember. So finally, the final section are just grammar topics and grammar ideas. So for example, a noun and a substantive. You need to know exactly what is a noun and a substantive. That's the technical word. Basically, it's a person, a place, or a thing. House, car, Brian, Dublin, pen, all substantives and nouns, okay? Every substantive, you need an article. And in English, we have two articles, a pen or the pen, okay? And the a is the indefinite article. Two pronunciations possible, a or a. For example, a pen or a pen, and the definite article, the pen, okay? So that's the article, substantive. Every substantive, it's possible to have an adjective, and the position of the adjective is before the substantive, okay? For example, pen, the big pen, the black pen, the red pen. So adjective is before the substantive, okay? The next idea is for adverbs, and the function of the adverb is to describe the verb, okay? So the verb to eat, to drink, to talk, to run, verb, adverb, quickly, slowly, rapidly, happily, okay? So we have a lot of adverbs, a lot of adverbs, and the ending is typically ly. Okay, but the function of the adverb is to describe the verb. Okay, so drink quickly, talk slowly, run rapidly. Okay, so the adverb is important to understand the concept. Modal verbs. So every morning we explain the modal verbs, and in English we have a category of special verbs called modal verbs. And for example, can is the first modal verb related to ability. I can use my computer. I can connect to the internet. It's my ability. Okay, I can play the guitar, play the piano. I can sing a fantastic song. Ability. Okay, can. Could, may, and might are possibilities. I could go to the cinema. I may go to the cinema. I might go to the cinema. Practically the same, and the significance is almost the same. The only difference is may and might is a little more polite and a little more formal. Just a little. Okay? But in reality, could, may, and might are practically the same. Shall has the significance of will. Shall we go to the cinema? Shall we have a coffee? Shall we watch the television? It's a little more formal and a little more polite, but the significance is will for the question. And it is more formal, is more polite, but you need to be familiar with the significance. Okay? Should is for recommendation and for advice. So my recommendation, you should practice speaking. You should read and read and read. You should go to the cinema. You should read this book. It's my recommendation and my advice. Okay? And ought to is the same. Ought to is for recommendation and ought to is for advice. But the G is silent. So the pronunciation is a good example here. The G is silent. So it's ought to. Okay, you ought to go to the cinema. You ought to read this book. It has the same significance as should. Must is an obligation and have to is an obligation. So must, you must clean your room. You must contact your friend. You must send the application. It's an obligation and it's a rule. Okay, so the modals are very important, and the most important rule, in my opinion, from my experience listening to people, the most important rule, after the modal verb, you have another verb in the infinitive. Remember, infinitive, to eat, to drink, to go. So the next verb is the infinitive, but it's necessary to eliminate to. That's the general rule with the modal. Can, go, might, have, should, watch. The incorrect and the typical error is can to go, might to watch. That's the typical error, and you need to be conscious of this because it's quite obvious. It's very obvious when people make the confusion. Okay? Prepositions. In English we have maybe 150 prepositions, so we have a big list of prepositions, but basically the function and the purpose of the preposition is for movement, direction, and position. So for example, I am in the room, the laptop is on the table, I meet you at the cafe. So it depends on the context, but we have different rules for the prepositions. For example, behind the table, in front of the table, beside the table, over, above, below. So we have a lot of prepositions, and they are very important. Also, they are very important in relation to phrasal verbs. So we have the prepositions used and connected in the phrasal verbs, and there is an association of the phrasal verb with emotion. For example, up is positive, up is happy, up is creation, and down is sad, down is negative, and down is destruction. So there normally is a connection with the emotion and a preposition in the phrasal verbs in particular. Okay? The next area also is very typical for the error and very typical for the confusion. So you need to be clear. This category is called pronouns. You have the possessive pronoun, you have the object pronoun, and you have the possessive adjective. They're the three most important categories. So for example, the difference between my hat, your hat, or the hat is mine, the hat is yours, or give the hat to me, or give the hat to you. That's the fundamental difference, but the typical problem is he and she, him and her, his and hers. That's the typical confusion, particularly from the Latin languages, maybe Portuguese and Spanish, because in English we distinguish between him and her a lot, and in Spanish not exactly the same. So the pen is mine, the pen is yours, the pen is his, masculine, and the pen is hers, feminine. Okay, but his pen, her pen for the possessive adjective. So that area, you need to be very, very clear with that area because it's a common confusion. Okay, and the difference between this, that, these, and those is also very important. It depends if it's singular and if it's plural, and the position. This pen here, that pen there, these pens here, and those pens there. So we are speaking about pens a lot today, but basically the difference between this, that, these, and those is very important. Okay, there is a difference between another, other, the other, and the others. So I want to ask you, are you familiar with the difference between another, other, the other, and the others? Okay, so if you are familiar with the class, probably you are sure and you understand the difference. But if you are new, you need to pay attention to the difference, because another is for singular substantive normally, another day, another pen, another person, another week. Other is for plural, other pens, other people, other days, other weeks. That's the general difference between another and other. The next example is the other. When you have a selection or a choice of two things, for example, coffee, do you want this coffee or do you want the other coffee? So that's possible, the other, when it's a choice or an option of two things. And the group of people, the others, is the group. So do you want to come to the park with us? Do you want to come to the park with the others? So it's a group of people. So there is a big difference between the four, and that's just a little example. Okay. Finally, for the introduction today, there is an importance in English between the suffix and the prefix. So in English, in my opinion, it's a big area, and I recommend a lot to be familiar with the concept of a suffix and a prefix. That's the technical vocabulary, the technical term, but basically the significance is the word or the letters at the end of the word are a big indication of the form of the word. A verb, adjective, adverb, substantive, and for example the suffix ance is typically substantive. The importance, substantive. Okay, ize is typically a verb. Realize, monetize, familiarize. So that's a little secret, and it's a very important area to be very, very accurate and very detailed. Okay, able is normally adjective, manageable. Okay, and ly is normally the adverb. So ly we normally say quickly, slowly. So that's the typical suffix for ly. Pre is before, pre-match, pre-class, pre-event. Anti is against, anti-tobacco, anti-war, and then the negative impossible and unbelievable. So the negative prefix is irregular. You can have two, maybe three possible prefix for the irregular substantive. Okay, irregular adjective. Okay, and they are the most important topics for this morning. Also, writing is very interesting, and you have the option to send some writing, and I can correct your writing if you want, and part of the agreement we can show the writing in the class just to help everybody with the corrections, and it can be anonymous if you want as well, but for me it would be very good to correct some writing to show everybody. And exam preparation, we have the Cambridge exams, the first certificate, the advanced certificate, proficiency certificate. So the Cambridge exams are very popular, and hopefully I can help with the exam preparation in the future, and also the IELTS as well. And finally, just in relation to accents at the beginning, I have a possible accent from Ireland and a possible accent from Dublin. In general, I think I'm clear or more or less neutral a little, but it is possible that the U is very strong. For example, Dublin, butter, bus. So be careful and try to identify my accent with the U, because it's possible very strong. And also the TH. For example, correct is this, that, these, those, Thursday. But sometimes for me it's like a D. This, that, these, Thursday. So just be a little careful with my pronunciation in relation to the three topics. And the other one is OU. Mouse, house, sometimes is very strong. Okay, so well done. Excuse me. That is the introduction document. It's very important every morning, in my opinion, to analyze the technical vocabulary and to explain the technical vocabulary, because during the class I mention a lot phrasal verbs, idioms, past perfect, present continuous, adjective, substantive, adverb, preposition. So there's no solution. You have to be very familiar with the terms. You have to really understand the structures first. Okay, so that's so important and so key. So yesterday we began with an article from Reuters, and the article was about India and COVID. Okay, and today we will continue. So I'm going to show you my notes because we can continue on page 3. So basically the first paragraph was an introduction to the story. The second paragraph was picture, and I just see there's a little delay maybe in my video, so I hope that's not a big problem with my delay. The reason there's a little delay, I think, because the Wi-Fi at the bottom is connected to my telephone, the hotspot, and the internet is a little weak in this location from the house, so I'm a little doubtful to connect to the Wi-Fi in case we lose the class, but hopefully you can hear me okay. So this was the second paragraph and the third paragraph, and we stopped yesterday here to maintain or to keep social distancing, and today we will continue with the next paragraph, India's infection. So first I will read the text for pronunciation, and after the pronunciation, after I read, we can analyze the vocabulary. Okay, so first, India has confirmed the long-time presence of 2 mutant variants, N440K and E484Q, in addition to those first detected in Brazil, Britain and South Africa. Okay, and I'll continue with the next paragraph. The Health Ministry said that while cases in the states of Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Kerala and Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Punjab, as well as the federal territory of Jammu and Kashmir, were rising, the proportion of high accuracy RT-PCR tests in those places was falling, because many states prefer antigen tests which are cheaper and quicker but less accurate. Okay, in my opinion, that paragraph is not too difficult. I think it's very, very clear. And here I'm going to use the page from my notes if you want to see some comments. Okay, so in my opinion, this paragraph not difficult, except for the words from India, the location from India. I had difficulty with the pronunciation. But first, for example, India is the subject. Has confirmed is an example of the tense. So the verb is to confirm. And the question for you, what tense do you think is that in this example? Because in the introduction we explained the tenses: simple, perfect, continuous. So what tense do you think is this example? India has confirmed the long time presence. Okay, so the correct answer is the present perfect, because it started in the past, they confirmed, it's finished, but it's still relevant to today because it's correct in the present also. So that's an example of the present perfect. The present is the substantive. Okay, so I think present is the adjective. So for example, in the class, you are present, you are in the class, but the substantive is the presence. So thank you for your presence, but you are present in the class. So the difference between the suffix is a good example here between the adjective and the noun. Okay, and here it's the substantive, and every substantive you need the article, and in this case it's the specific article, so it's the definite article there. And long time are two words originally, long time, but in English we have the hyphen, so the little line is the hyphen, and when you connect two words with the hyphen, it's possible to create one word. So for example, long time now is one adjective. Okay, so for example, I am a long time fan or supporter of football, for example. Sorry for my typing, my hands are a little cold. It's a little cold this morning in Dublin. It's bright, the weather is nice and it is bright, but it's a little cold. So I am a long time fan or supporter of football. So long time in this case is the adjective, the article is a, and then the substantive is fan or supporter. So it's the same example. In addition to is a good combination and a very important linker. So in English we have a lot of link words. However, furthermore, moreover, as well as, notwithstanding, we have a lot of linkers. Some are very advanced, and in addition to is a very good linker. Okay, so today I will go to the cinema in addition to the restaurant. So I will go to the restaurant and I will go to the cinema. It's a little flexible, but it's important to be aware. And then again, the difference between this, that, these and those. So in this case it's the variants, those variants, so it's plural and it's away, and there's not a big difference between these variants and those variants, but just to be sure and to be clear and to recognize the family, this, that, these and those. Okay, while is like mientras in Espanol. So basically while is related to one activity. You do one activity while you do another activity at the same time. So I am brushing my teeth while I'm looking at my phone. So two actions at the same time. It's typical while. I go to the cinema while you go to the shops. Okay, so two activities at the same time, and it's necessary the linker while. Okay, so the health ministry said that while cases in the States were rising, okay, so the cases were rising and the proportion, so it's a very, very long sentence, but basically there are two things happening at the same time, and that's the significance of while. So as well as is an important linker as well. We have in addition to, as well as. And again, I will go to the cinema as well as the restaurant. It's the significance of also. Okay, so just a little more advanced, but very important. So what structure, what time, what tense of the verb do you think? Subject is here at the beginning. It's a very, very long sentence, but the cases are the subject of the sentence, and the verb is were rising. But what is the tense in this case? Do you think it's the simple? Do you think it's the... Okay, I see I have a message there for my Wi-Fi is unstable, so now I take the chance to connect to the internet, and hopefully we do not lose. But the verb here, okay, the cases, the numbers were rising. Remember the past continuous. Okay, the proportion of high accuracy. So here again you can see the hyphen. High and accuracy are two completely different words. Accuracy is the substantive, accurate is the adjective. Okay, so accuracy is the noun and accurate is the adjective. And here we have the hyphen, high accuracy, so it's two words connected to make one word. Okay, so in this case it's one adjective, high accuracy. Okay, and again was falling, so that's the past continuous. So in this case the proportion is the subject, was falling. So that's just another example of the different tense. The verb is to fall, and remember the difference between to fall and to feel, completely different verbs. You need to be very clear of the difference between fall and feel. Okay, so fall in Spanish is caer. In Portuguese maybe it's similar. So you are on the horse and you fall, or you're at the party and you're maybe having a great time and you fall. The past simple is fell. Okay, so the past is fell, and that's the past simple, and the participle is fallen. Okay, so it's an irregular verb, and you need to be very, very clear. But the verb to feel in Spanish is sentir, which maybe in Portuguese it's similar. In Indonesian, Vietnam, Asian languages, I'm not sure. But the verb is to feel. I feel happy, I feel sad, and in the past I felt. Okay, so felt is the past. So you need to be very, very clear with the difference between fall and fell. Very, very important. Okay, and here it's the verb to fall. And then finally we have cheaper and quicker, and this is the rule of the comparative and the superlative with the adjective. For example, bad, worse, worst, good, better, best. You know that structure for comparative and superlative. Sometimes it's irregular and sometimes it's regular. So here the adjective is cheap in relation to money or the clothes. The clothes are very cheap, barato in Espanol. It's very good price, very low price, very cheap. And then the comparison, this product is cheaper than this product. Okay, so cheaper than, and that's called a comparative. And then the superlative is the cheapest. So this product is cheap, this product is cheaper than this product, but this product is the cheapest product. Okay, and that's the regular rule. We have the adjective with one syllable, normally one syllable. The comparative is er and the superlative is est. Okay, so that structure is very important, and here it's cheaper and quicker than the other products. Okay, the next page is a little bit more interesting and good vocabulary, so I will continue with the next page. And the first paragraph is: the federal government is worried excessive reliance on rapid antigen tests could undercount cases, leading to retail infections going unchecked and spreading the disease. So one paragraph, we have a lot of good vocabulary here. Cases have also risen in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and West Bengali. Okay, or West Bengal. In the past week, a third of India's 36 states and union territories have reported an average of more than 100 new cases each day, with Kerala and Maharashtra both registering more than 4,000 in a trend experts link to the reopening of schools and suburban train services. Okay, Maharashtra reported 8,807 new COVID-19 cases on Wednesday, the highest in nearly 5 months. Of those, 1,167 were in Mumbai, India's financial capital. So in relation to numbers, you need to be very accurate and very precise. Numbers are very difficult. When you are learning English, actually the majority of people have difficulty when they speak about numbers. So you need to be very accurate and very clear and very sure in relation to your numbers. So here we have 8,807, 1,167, 4,136. So obviously for me and for native speakers it's very natural, but for people learning English it's incredibly difficult to be very confident and fluent with the numbers. So try to work on this and try to improve this. Okay, so the first paragraph is worried. So here we have probably the verb to be, and worry is a substantive. Okay, so you have a lot of worries in the plural, but a worry is singular, noun. Okay, and here it's the plural, worries, substantive, but the adjective is worried, and that's necessary with the verb to be. I am worried, you are worried. So the adjective is worried, the substantive is a worry, and the verb is to worry. Okay, I know in Spanish you can say preocupado, and in English it's possible as well. Preoccupied is another possible word in English, and the significance is very similar. I am preoccupied has the same significance, I am worried. Okay, so preoccupied is possible in English, and the significance is the same, you are worried, but worried is probably more common and more typical. Okay, so the government is worried, the present simple, excessive reliance on. So are you familiar with this word? Because this is a very, very advanced and very nice word, and I'm very curious if you are familiar. Okay, so the verb is to rely on. That is the verb, and my friends, so it's so important the majority of people understand depend, and the majority of people use depend, but rely is a perfect synonym, and it's probably more advanced, and it's very, very good, okay? So the adjective is unreliable. So very, very important vocabulary, and very important because we use this verb and this family a lot. We use this a lot. A modal verb, the next verb is the infinitive, but we eliminate to. So the next verb is to undercount, okay? And that's a little creative and a little difficult because the verb is to count. For example, 1, 2, 3, you count, and to undercount is to count maybe incorrectly. So the cases, the real number is 25, but you only count 22, so you undercount. That's the significance of the preposition. It's possible also overcount, so the real number is 25 and you count 27, so you overcount. But this is important because over is possible before other verbs: to overeat, to overdrink, to oversleep, to overdo. So we have a lot of possibilities with the preposition over before the verb, and I want to show you: to overeat, to overdrink, to oversleep, to overhear. Okay, so we have a lot of words, a lot of verbs in relation to over, and here I want to explain just some of the significance. Okay, so to overeat, what do you think is the significance? And I have my dinner, but I eat too much. And too much is like demasiado in Espanol. So I overeat. Okay, so too much is like demasiado, and it's excessive. So to overeat. And it's also possible to overindulge. Okay, and the spelling is a little bit bad there. To overindulge is related to when you eat too much, or you drink too much, or you have too much sweet and chocolate food. Okay, so to overindulge. Overdrink is the same. So you drink normal, but you drink excessively, so you overdrink. Sleep, you sleep normal, but you oversleep. Okay, so you sleep too much. And overwork is the same, which is very unusual, but you work too much. And overhear is when you are in the restaurant and you're speaking with your friend, but you overhear because the other people are speaking excessively and you can overhear. So your intention is not to listen, your intention is not to hear, but you have no choice because they are speaking excessively. So it's very, very important. And here it's the opposite to undercount. It's possible to undersleep, to underdrink, to undereat, all possibilities. So that structure is very interesting. Okay, leading to is one of my favorites as well. So to lead to is one of my favorite points because it's very common and very important. Okay, so the verb to lead is related to liderar in Espanol. So a competition, a race. The athlete is leading the race, so she is the leader. So to lead is the verb. A leader is the person, and the structure, the link is very common. Lead to. Okay, lead to. So it's related to consequence. So for example, drinking a lot of Coca-Cola, the activity drinking a lot of Coca-Cola leads to problems. Okay, health problems. Smoking a lot of cigarettes leads to health problems. So it's the consequence. So it's connected to lead to, but it's very, very, very good advanced English and very common, and we use it a lot. The past is led to. So the past is irregular. And for example, it's possible in every situation. With the coronavirus, travel, international travel, led to the spread or the increase of cases. So international travel led to, in the past, irregular, led to the increase in cases. So it's very, very important. And in this example, it is the reliance on rapid tests leads to infections going unchecked. So very difficult. And the verb is to check. Okay, so if you check something, and then the adjective, it is checked. Okay, that's the adjective, but the negative is unchecked. So for example, this document is unchecked, this food is unchecked, so it is not checked. Okay, so that's the vocabulary here. And the verb to spread. So yesterday we had the example with the chocolate and the Nutella. So for me, Nutella is the brand, Nutella is the company. Well, Nutella is the brand, but for me, we say chocolate spread. So chocolate spread is the same as Nutella, but the verb to spread is this action. Typical with butter, you spread the butter or chocolate. And for people, it's possible to say Irish people are spread around the world, like disperso, so spread. That's one possibility. And it's possible with the virus can spread. So difundir, I think in Espanol. On the sofa, I can spread myself on the sofa. So it's very flexible and we use it in lots of different contexts. But in this situation, it's related to the virus and related to the disease. To spread. Very, very important word. Okay. Here, the next sentence, cases have also risen. So have is the auxiliary of the verb and risen is the participle. So the tense is have risen because it's plural. Cases have risen. So what tense is this? This is another question for you. Is this the past simple? Is it the present perfect? Is it the present continuous? What is this tense? And remember, the structure have risen is typical for the present perfect. Okay, and the verb is to rise. And you need to be clear the difference between to rise and to raise. And yesterday we explained exactly the same difference. So just to refresh, to rise is typically when the subject is maybe the sun, the temperature and the price. So the temperature rises, the sun rises, or the price rises. But the second verb is typical. The subject is the person. I raise my hand, I raise the bottle, I raise a question. So that's the principal general difference between rise and raise. So rise, the subject is typical, maybe the sun, the temperature or the price, and raise, the subject is typical for a person as the subject. Okay, and here it is the present perfect, have risen. So it's possible prices have risen, temperatures have risen, cases have risen. Okay, average. So sometimes this is confusing. Basically the average is, for example, you have 5 people, the age of the 5 people, this person is 20 years old, this person is 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. So the average age of the group is maybe 35. So that's the average. Okay, la media in Espanol. So you need to be careful, because I think that's the problem. It's a false friend, because the media in English is like the television, the newspaper, the media, and also the medium is, for example, the internet. The internet is my medium to connect to you, or relation to size. This shirt is medium, this jacket is medium, small, medium, large. In McDonald's you have a medium drink, a medium meal. So the average is the special word for the statistics. Okay, also it's possible to describe the person like an insult, or the restaurant was average, the food was average. So not perfect, not very good, just normal, very average. Okay, each day. So basically there's a very small difference between each and every, and technically I think each is related to 2 or more, and that's the significance here for day. So 2 or more we use each, and every day is for 3 or more. That's the technical difference, but in reality it's a bit more flexible, and in this particular case it's possible. Okay, both is the 2. So you and I, we are both happy, we are both healthy, we are both good. So both is for 2 people. Ambos in Espanol. A trend. Okay, so on Twitter you have trending topic. So the verb is to trend, and the substantive is a trend, and the adjective is trendy. So this jacket, this dress in fashion is very trendy, very popular, adjective, and a trend is the substantive, and to trend is the verb. So very important family and very typical, and trendy or trending are two adjectives. Okay, so just to be conscious and to be aware of the vocabulary. I think in Spanish, so to link, and the substantive a link. Okay, and on is just a preposition for the day. On March, so just to be different with the prepositions, and nearly is the significance almost. Okay, super. So that is a good explanation. Maybe now is a good moment to have a little break, and to a break from the vocabulary and the grammar, and maybe we can practice some speaking now if you are interested. So anybody in the Zoom chat, if you want to participate, you can raise your hand or you can put a comment, and now is the perfect moment to practice some speaking. So there are 4 participants in Zoom, so if you want to put in the chat that you are ready and you want to speak, that's possible. And it's just a general introduction about your situation, where you are calling from, and just a little chat and a little conversation. If you want, that's available. So just tell me, and I can select your profile and we can chat. Okay, that's available. If not, we can continue with the class and we can move on to something different. Okay, so I presume we can move on. And this is an article from the Rolling Stone. It's a review of a movie, but I think we have done enough vocabulary and explanation today, so we will do something different. And now I'm going to show you. Yes, okay, perfect. So this is a list of idioms, and in English we have a long list of idioms and phrasal verbs. So here you can see phrasal verbs and you can see idioms, and normally I like to continue little by little to explain some phrasal verbs and also to explain some idioms. So today my intention is to explain some idioms. Okay, so we stopped the last day, we stopped to have a lump in your throat, and maybe you remember. So to have a lump in your throat, so first the vocabulary a lump is very important, and the vocabulary your throat. So this part of the body is the throat. Okay, and in business you can say the business is very cutthroat. So the business is very dangerous. Everybody wants to be the best. It's very cutthroat because the people would metaphorically kill you for business. So it's very cutthroat. Okay, and a lump. If I hit my head, I have 2 possibilities: a bump or a lump. Okay. Maybe for sugar, you have a cube of sugar or a lump of sugar. So a lump is a small quantity, or also on your head. So in your throat, if you have a lump in your throat, the significance is you are very emotional, because you watch an emotional movie and you feel very sad, you feel very emotional, and you have that sensation in your throat. You have a lump in your throat. That's the expression. Okay. It is possible as well, the verb to lump, it's okay, there's Olympia, very good. So there is an expression as well to lump the bag on the I don't know, in the garden, for example, and it means to throw. So to lump your bag over here, it's very informal, and the significance is to throw. Okay, in sport it's very informal, but it's possible in football to lump the ball forward is to hit the ball or to throw the ball forward. Okay. The next expression is very famous: to make a long story short. That's extremely famous. So it's a long story. You want to explain the very long story, but you do not want to bore the people. You do not want to make the people fall asleep. So my explanation, I want to make a long story short. So I want to be very direct, very clear, to make the long story short. Very, very typical expression in conversation. Okay. Make my day is very famous as well. So make my day, obviously make is typical with creation. Make the dinner, make a project, make a movie. So it's creation. and you need to be clear the difference between make and do. So in general, do is for an activity, do sports, do an exercise, do I don't know, a crossword. In English we have a crossword like an activity. So do is typical for activity, and make is more for creation. But the expression make my day is, for example, if you do something good for me and you make my morning, so your action makes me have a fantastic morning. Okay, so if I make your day, I do one action, maybe a gesture, maybe a present, and it makes your day fantastic. Okay, it's typical in movies. Make my day, a little difficult to understand, but that's the significance, to make your day incredible, to make your day fantastic. Okay, so it's very important. Make or break is very simple and very understandable and very common. So you have an opportunity, for example, in work, you have a final meeting to get the contract, one final opportunity, one final chance. So you get the contract, like you make the business, you get the contract, or you break the opportunity. So it's the chance. So it's make or break. It's the key moment. Okay, so very typical in every context. Many examples. So now is the opportunity. You either make the opportunity and you have success, or you lose the opportunity. So it is make or break. Okay, very common. And make the grade is very typical as well. So remember, grade is related to school. In university, in school, your grade is your mark or your score or your result. So grade, mark, score, result. We have 4 words which practically mean the same thing. Grade, mark, score, or result. And make the grade is in relation to school. So it's necessary, for example, the IELTS exam, it's necessary to reach or to have level 8 in the IELTS exam. So this is the grade. The grade is the level. So you need to make the grade. You need to reach the level. But it's typical in sport. So the level is very high. You want to be selected for the team. This is the level. This is the grade. You need to make the grade. Okay, so it's a very typical expression in conversation, in every situation, to make the grade, to be sufficient and to be good enough. Okay. Make time, again, it's very important. So make is typical for creation, and there's a very interesting difference between make and do in this case. Make time is creation. So you are very stressed, you are very busy, you have a lot of commitments, you have a lot of you have a lot of jobs and work, so you're very busy, but you need to make time for your friend, you need to make time for your family, you need to find time, and you need to make time. Okay, so make time for your class, make time for your socializing, make time for your exercise. So you need to find time. Okay, that's the significance of make time. Very common and very important. But curiously, do time is completely different. The most typical context for do time is in relation to crime and prison. So if the criminal does time, they spend time in jail or they spend time in prison. So make time and do time are completely different. Okay, so here make time is to find time for your friend or to find time for your activity or for your hobby. Okay, makes my flesh crawl. Very good vocabulary. Okay, so the verb is to crawl, and to crawl is typical for the baby. So yesterday we had the same example. You need to crawl before you can walk. So normally the baby walks, but before they walk they crawl. Okay, and it's typical, like secret. If you return from a party to your house and you're crawling into the house, you're very slow and you're very quiet. So to crawl is this action. But in relation to insects and spiders and little insects, they are called creepy crawlies. Okay, so first I need to explain the expression creepy crawly. And maybe the adjective. Okay, so the verb is to creep, and again, to creep is to go very slowly. So the same example, you return from the party and you creep into the house very slowly, very incognito, very secret. And to crawl is the insect. So the insect, it's impossible to see, it's impossible to identify. They are very quiet, but they move very slowly. So creepy crawly is something bad, like an insect. Okay. Also, the verb to creep is typical in social media, and it's an insult. So if the person is looking at the social media account, like private, very secret, for gossip, they are creeping. So they're not very clear, they're creeping. Okay. But the expression to make my skin crawl, or my flesh. So the flesh is the skin is here, but when you cut the skin, you have the flesh. Okay. And he or she is my flesh and bone is an example for family. So she is my flesh and bone. The significance is my family. So she is my family, she is my sister, he is my brother. They are my flesh and bone. Okay, so it's an informal way to say family. And it is possible as well, a phrasal verb, to flesh out the problem. So if you have a problem and you need to flesh out the problem, you need to show and to discuss the problem as well. So your flesh is your skin, and when you feel very uncomfortable, when you are disgusted, when you are when something horrible happens and you feel horrible, and your skin has the sensation of really uncomfortable, and your skin is crawling because what you see is disgusting, what you see is horrible, and your skin has the reaction. So it's a metaphor that you really do not like what you see. So it makes my skin crawl. It's possible for a person, a really strong insult. If you say this person makes my skin crawl, you feel very uncomfortable when you speak with that person. You feel very, very bad. Okay, so that's possible. The next expression is a little nicer and a little general. So to make a go at it, or a go of it. This is very simple, but it's very common, and it is maybe the activity. So for example, I am teaching English. I am giving the classes, the project of the classes in the morning. So I make a go of the project means I try my best, I try to make it work, I try to have success. So to make a go of something is to try to have success and to try your best. Okay, and that's the significance, to try to have success. So necessary for you to change your job, it's necessary for you to start a new position, and you need to make a go of the new position. You need to try your best to have success in the new position. Okay, so it's very common in conversation. It's different from have a go. Have a go at it is a little different. That means just to try. So here is the chocolate, have a go at it. Here is the activity, have a go at it. That's the significance, to try. But to make a go of it means to make sure it's a success. Okay, so very interesting English. The little differences is the detail, and for native speakers this is extremely easy and extremely normal, but for people learning English it's a big problem. So that's a very, very interesting difference. Okay, making the previous example, to make time, is to find time. So if you make time for your friend, that means you find time. Okay, but to make good time is typical in the context of travel. So you are traveling from Dublin to Cork. Okay, Dublin to Cork, and normally the trip is 3 hours. Okay, but today you arrive with maybe in 2 hours. So the significance, you make good time, is typical when you travel and you have success in your travel and you have less time to travel. So you are making good time. Okay, it's possible to say making good progress, and that's similar as well, but just one example, to make good time. Okay, making headway, a little similar as well, not too different, but to make headway is progress. It's the same as progress. Way is the way, and headway, it's like to make progress. So you're running and you're trying and you make headway. The significance is you make progress. Maybe related to the boat, so the head of the boat, and you make headway. The significance is you're making progress. But remember, the verb to head has the significance to go. So for example, I am heading to the cinema, I am heading to the shop, has the significance I am going to the shop. Okay, so maybe that's the connection as well. A match, and then finally, a match made in heaven is a good expression. And remember, the verb is to match. So of course, on the applications today, on Tinder, on what's the other one? The yellow Buzz or something, the yellow one. So there's Tinder, but you know in Tinder you have to match. So to match is to pair, okay? And then the expression is a match made in heaven. So heaven is obviously the fantastic place. So it's a perfect match. The significance of a match made in heaven is it's a perfect match, okay? And then finally, I suppose, a method to my madness is very famous as well. So all of these expressions, all of these idioms are very typical. And a match made in heaven, a method to my madness. So madness is like crazy, something disorganized. So I teach may be very disorganized, or the teacher is very disorganized in the structure, in the process. But behind the crazy, behind the wild and bizarre situation, there is method. And it's a plan. Okay, so very, very typical conversation. Very, very typical expression. Methods to my madness. Very common expression. Okay, very good. So now it's possible to continue with some phrasal verbs, but again, if you want to participate, please inform me or please contact me with Zoom with a message, and it's possible to practice some speaking. But otherwise is an expression if not. Okay, so otherwise we will continue with the class, with the phrasal verbs, because here we have a list of phrasal verbs. And again, okay, Isabel, perfect. Now is the perfect time. So let me use my computer, and apologies for my technology, because I have some difficulties normally with my technology. And I'll ask to start the video.
Teacher, sorry, only I wanted to know about the last.
Hello, Isabel.
The last idioms that you told us, method to my madness.
Yeah.
Could you give an example, please?
Yeah, so the perfect example is probably my teaching. Sometimes my teaching is a little crazy, it's a little mad, because mad is the adjective. If the person is mad, they are crazy or they are angry. So mad has two possibilities for the adjective, crazy or angry, and the substantive is madness. Explains the class, it's crazy, it's not very organized, but in reality his intention, it's always a plan. So he has a plan, or she has a plan. So a method to my madness. It looks crazy, it appears ridiculous, but there is a real method and a real impact to the teaching. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Have you heard it before?
The year with the pandemic, this year is madness.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a mad year.
Well, that's the example. So you need to say it is a mad year, because mad is the adjective. Okay, so because you have the verb to be, the adjective is mad. Sorry with my computer. So the adjective would be the adjective
it's
is
a mad year.
Exactly. And then the substantive would be the year is madness. Okay, yeah, it's very important and very typical. Have you never heard that expression before?
No, that idiom, no.
Okay.
Madness, yes. I will use with my daughter. My daughter name is Mad.
Exactly.
With this organization.
And the class, how is the class for you? Is it easy to follow the class, or do you have difficulty with the class?
It's okay for me, yes. I am learning more with the idioms and the first verb, yes.
Okay.
Because we use a lot, yes.
And what is your experience with English? Do you need English for your daily life, or is it a hobby, or what is your experience with English?
Oh yes, I need English because I have to communicate with my friends in English now.
Ah, okay.
and even with my students. Yes.
Fantastic. So the school, it's bilingual, or it's... Can you explain a little more why you need to speak in English?
Because I am working in a primary school.
Okay.
And here all speak English. Yes.
Okay, but what country are you in at the moment, or what city?
London.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, London. Yes.
Okay, so you are a perfect example. So English is obviously very important for you, for sure.
Yes, of course. Yes. It is important for everybody.
Yeah. And what's the difficulty for you? What are the typical problems that you have? Is it difficult to understand native speakers when they speak very quickly, or what?
Sometimes for me difficult the letter R.
Yeah.
The R, the pronunciation of this letter, and also the TH.
Yes.
These two letters for me sometimes it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yes. And we need to practice. Yes, every day.
At the beginning of the class, I explained a little my accent in Ireland. It's very curious because the TH in Ireland, it's very strong. So London and Ireland is a very good example of the difference. So in London, they say this, that, these, those, Thursday. But it's possible for me, I say this, that. So the TH is very important. And do you have the opportunity to practice or to try to improve, or are you improving at the moment, or are you having difficulty?
Yes, I am practicing with my friends.
Yeah.
And they sometimes they tell me how to do it. Yes. And even I'm practicing online with my pronunciation. Yes.
Super.
These two letters sometimes are difficult. Yes. For all the people from speak Spanish.
Exactly.
These two letters, yes.
And your home country or your home city, can you explain a little where you are from originally?
Well, I was born in Peru, in Lima.
Okay.
Yes, it's a nice place to live there. Yes, because the weather and other people, we have a nice food. Peruvian food is one of the most of the world.
Oh, okay. I think people maybe will disagree with you, because people in Spain or people in Italy think they have the most. But in Peru, what is
you because you are from Spain. Maybe.
No, I'm from Ireland. But the food in Peru, what?
Yes, Spain has a nice food also. Paella.
Yeah.
Yes. Paella. Tapas, no?
I believe in Peru it's lentejas per lunes. No, is that correct? Lentejas per lunes.
Oh, yes. Lentil.
Yeah.
And then ceviche is the most popular.
Oh, very chévere, no? Very chévere, very cool.
It's a fish, it's a fillet of the fish. You put salt and lemon, and that's it.
It's very popular, I think, isn't it? Some of my friends,
It's nice.
And
then we have several places.
And in London at the moment, how is the situation in the school? Is it very complicated with the virus to work in the school?
At least I received a good news.
Yeah.
I will start. I will come back on 8th of March.
Okay.
I will come back. Yeah.
Okay. So at the moment you are working from home.
No, I'm not working. I'm not working at the moment. I was working in January 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then they don't need me because there were only 8 children in the class. Yes. And now I will come back on 8th of March.
Super. One example, a very important example for conversation. This is a typical confusion. So in English, it's irregular. We say, I have good news. It's never singular. So it's a irregular rule. But always in English, we say, I have good news. Never, the error is, I have good new. That's the error. So it's strange, but in English always I have good news, even when it's singular. So even it's singular, we need to say I have good news. It's the same with a series. So you watch the Netflix, you watch the television, and it's singular, one series, but it's irregular, plural, so it's necessary to say a series. Okay? Okay, Isabel, thank you so much for connecting, and thank you so much for contacting. That was fantastic.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I hope...
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, and you too, and that was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Isabel, and have a great time. I'm just going to change the... Oh no, I think that's perfect, yeah. So I see another chat, and maybe we have another participant who wants to... Oh, Olympia, how much a lesson? Well, at the moment I'm just focusing on the free classes, but that's my plan at the moment. Okay, so I think that's a good quantity of work for today. Really good class. If somebody wants to participate, it's possible, but I think also it's a good time to... Oh, we have another message. Let me check. Sorry for the confusion. Okay, maybe Fanny, do you want to participate? Let me see. I'll go to... Because normally the way is if you want to speak, I'll let you raise your hand. So, okay, perfect. Excellent. So I'm going to connect with Fanny and start the video as well. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, teacher.
Hello, how are you? Good afternoon.
My name is Victoria, not Fanny.
Ah, sorry, Victoria.
Fanny is my sister.
Ah, okay.
And Isabel too.
Ah, Isabel today on the call?
Yes, and Fanny too.
Fantastic. So can you introduce yourself a little, or can you explain where you are from?
I am from Peru.
Of course. And are you living in London also?
No, I visited my sister 2002.
Okay, a long time ago.
Yes.
So Isabel is living in London for a long time?
Yes, for 20 years.
Wow.
Approximately.
Are you jealous? Would you like
I
to live?
visited her for 6 months.
Yes.
On vacation.
That's a perfect time. 6 months is an excellent, it's a good time. It's a long time to visit.
Yes.
And what was your...
Beautiful London.
Yeah, what is your impression? What was your impression of London? What was the most fantastic?
I love it, but the weather is bad. It's not good for me. It's very cold.
Oof.
I visit in July until April.
Okay.
In February, it's very cool.
Yeah. Ireland is the same. At the moment I am in Dublin in Ireland, which is close to London, but the weather is very different and very cold weather. So Peru, are you happy in Peru? The life in Peru is good?
Yes, the weather, the food, the people.
Yeah. Good. And in relation to English, is English important for you, or what is your situation with English? Are you studying, or do you need English?
I need English because I can get a job, a new job.
Yeah.
My English is I don't speak very well.
No, it's good. It's very good.
I am beginner.
No, it's fantastic. And for work in Peru, well, puedes hablar en español también porque hablo español, pero tengo muchísimos errores, pero si es mejor para ti para hablar en español, es posible también.
No, only English.
Ah, okay.
I need to practice a lot.
And in Peru, is English necessary for work?
Yes. Now, yes. All the work is necessary.
Really?
you say pedir?
Yeah, they demand or they ask or they require.
The companies
Yeah.
piden inglés.
Okay. Oh, yes, yes.
Las compañías solicitan inglés
Yeah.
para trabajar. Es un requisito.
Yeah, and
En
in
una web.
and in Peru, I don't know if we lost the connection, but in Peru, is the English very good for people in Peru? People have a good level of English in Peru in general?
No,
No.
but only for the war.
Okay.
But in general, the people speak Spanish, obviously.
Obviously, yes, but in school, for example, in Peru, the level of English in school is very high, or the level of English of the people is.
Yes,
yeah.
in the school, yes. Sometimes the teacher speak in English, and the books
Yeah.
is also too in English.
Okay. And for you, what is the most difficult for you when you learn English? What's the biggest problem for you with English, in your opinion?
The verbs
Okay.
is I need to memorize.
Yeah.
And the pronunciation for me is bad.
And do you have
I watch movies in English.
Yes. And speak, do you have the opportunity to practice speaking?
What?
Do you do
Huh?
yeah,
No, I don't understand.
do you have the opportunity at the moment to practice speaking? Do you practice
Would you?
well, not with me, in general, like normally, do you have the opportunity to practice?
In this moment, yes, but another with my sister sometimes.
Yeah.
But I study English, but the teacher is no speak with the student.
Okay. Yeah, it's important, of course, to practice. But Victoria, thank you very much for connecting and participating today. I hope you enjoy the class, and I hope the class can help a little. Thank you so much for connecting, and I just see one or two people want to contribute. So you're very welcome, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. See you later. Okay, that's perfect. And now I'm going to connect with, I think we had another person. I see the chat. Let me see. So maybe another person wants to practice. Okay. I'm not sure because I'm confused. I think, yes, Victoria, I think is, I'm not sure if, yeah, okay, we connect with Victoria. Okay. Because I think it's a different person. Let me see. It might be the same person. I'm not sure. Victoria, hello. No, okay. Okay, so that is... Oh, we have one more before we finish. Let me see. Olympia, I think, yeah, we spoke. One moment, I'll connect with Victoria. Okay, so I think that's a very good practice for everybody to participate, and it's a good opportunity to speak. I think Olympia, we spoke yesterday, and anybody that wants to join is possible. So I think it's a good moment to finish. Thank you so much. Remember, everything is free. I'm really happy to teach for free. If you want to support me, or if you want to make a little contribution, oh sorry Victoria, yeah, if you want to make a little contribution or a little support, it's possible, because this is the end of the month. It's possible by Bizum or Revolut or by PayPal, just a little contribution. But I know it's difficult. People have lost jobs. People are not working, so I understand it's not possible for some people, and I want to help you. But if you can, and if you want to make a little support or a little contribution, it would be fantastic for me. Now is the end of the month, and this is the 5th week of the classes, so it's a good opportunity to try to help. And later today I will put a post on Facebook with the same information that hopefully people can donate and help. So today was fantastic. Thank you everyone very much for connecting. It was a wonderful class, and I hope you enjoyed the material. And I think that is everything. Yes. And have a good day, and keep in contact. And thank you so much. Talk to you soon.